Good morning, everybody. So we now know who fights who in Saudi Arabia on December the 23rd. I kind of knew, but was keeping stum because Frank Warren, top boxing promoter who's right behind this night on December the 23rd, he was speaking to me about it the other night when we watched Arsenal beat Seville in the Champions League. Mr. Frank Warren joins us live. Frank, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon.
Morning, Frank.
Frank, it's been described as an historic night for boxing. Is it right that we should consider it that?
Yeah, I think so. I think because we've got a situation where there's all these fights on one card, and each one of these fights could be a bill topper in its own right. So it's a fantastic fight card. As much as, and all of us wanted to see Wilder and Joshua fight, but this is a start, hopefully, to get it on. At least we're working hard to make the thing happen, and they're in tough fights themselves. Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder's a good fight. You know, Joseph Parker, we've all seen him over here. He's a tough competitor. He's only ever been stopped once, and I think, you know, Deontay having those fights with Tyson, who knows if he's, you know, what he's got left, and if he's got anything in the tank, we'll find out. And as for Anthony Joshua, he's fighting Otto Wallin, who's only lost one fight, and that was to Tyson Fury a few years ago. He's coming off a really good win, beating Gassiev, and he's a southpaw.
Okay. Well, I mean, you undoubtedly, Frank, you get some of the best boxers in the world in the same bill. Joshua will fight Wallin, as you say. Wilder will fight Parker. Daniel Dubois will fight Jarrell Miller. We'll get to Jarrell Miller in a minute. But how difficult was it putting it all together to get that lot on the one bill?
Well, it was difficult because to start with, we sat down with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, who's who basically runs the Riyadh season and the general entertainment group, entertainment authority in Saudi Arabia, and they told us what they wanted to do, and all these fights came about, and through myself, my son George, and Spencer Brown from Gold Star, we all worked hard to make these fights happen. And behind the scenes, obviously, our respective staffs had to work hard to get all these contracts sorted out in time for a press conference, which was, I can assure you, weren't easy. But
Frank, were you ever going to get Joshua to fight Wilder on this bill?
No, there was I've got to be honest, that was the initial thought, but it just wasn't to be. But I do think, provided they win their respective fights, I know Wilder wants it because he's in. And I think at the end of the day, Joshua, if he comes through his fight, he will have to do it because I don't see how he cannot make it happen. You know, they both say they want it to happen. Now we're pushing everybody in a position where, as I say, if they win their respective fights, it will have to happen. There's nowhere else to go.
It's good having you. I know Simon wants to fire off a couple at you in a second. Joshua and Wilder were in decent form speaking at this presser yesterday.
People talking about our peaks have never even seen what a peak looks like in their whole career, so I don't know what they're talking about, number one. Secondly, I want to thank His Highness Turkey and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for putting a phenomenal card together. I'm looking forward to delivering my message to Otto Wallin on December 23rd. I know where I want to go, I know what I want to do, and I'm sticking to that plan. I set out a plan at the start of this year, and I'm sticking to that. I'm a man of my word. I stand firm on what I believe, and I believe I'm going to be three-time heavyweight champion of the world. And my first stop to that, in getting in the rankings, is putting on a demolishing job against Otto Wallin.
It's good to be in the same room with him, to see him face to face. You know, it's been a long time coming. I wish you nothing but the best, bro. And hopefully soon we can get it on in the ring and get the people what they want, once and for all. But I wish you nothing but the best, even if it doesn't happen. But I believe it's going to happen. I believe it will. It's about that time. But even if it don't, I wish you nothing but the best.
So Joshua and Wilder, Simon, believe it will happen, that they will fight, just not on December the 23rd.
Yeah. I mean, look, whatever you say, you've got Frank Warren, you've got Eddie Hearn, so you can't have divisions in this conversation, because what people say is that I have a dialogue with Frank Warren which is different to the dialogue I have with Eddie Hearn, and people will make out the noise about whether Anthony Joshua is fighting Deontay Wilder on this fight card. What I have to say is you have an impressive fight card, whether it's Frank that opened the door, which it clearly is, and other people are going to get the benefit of it. What I was interested for was to watch the noise coming out of Jarrell Miller. Someone needs to shut him up, Frank, don't they?
Well, I'm hoping my man does it. I mean, it's he's got a tough fight there, Daniel. He gave whatever people want to say about that fight. He gave Usyk his toughest fight since he's been a heavyweight. There's no doubt about that. But there was a lot of doubters at the end saying that although he got him in trouble, whether it was a low blow or not, it's fact is he did hurt him, and there was people saying that he didn't show after that he sort of the fight went out of him, and I understand and hear what some people say. For Daniel, this is a real career defining fight, because he's got to show what he's about. He's got to show he's a fighting man, fighting a guy who's pretty confident. He's only
lots of noise, lots of noise.
And
Interesting to see. I mean, Lyndon Arthur must think all his Christmases have come at once, mustn't he?
Well, he must do, but it's he's the IBO champion, and he's fighting Dmitry Bivol. It's a very, very tough fight. There's no doubt about that. Bivol, I think, is probably the best in the world, and it will be. But you know what? He's the IBO champion. He's up there, and this is his chance. And we've seen upsets. I mean, we nearly seen one a few weeks ago with Tyson. And
is this it, Frank? Is this the way? I mean, obviously you forged this relationship and you've developed this opportunity, and other people are going to get on the back of it, and that's why you are front and centre in the press conference now, and rightly so. Is this the way that we now see that Saudi is now the new Vegas of fighting? It's now the fight capital, and the big fights are predominantly going to happen there.
I think a lot of the big fights will happen there, Simon, and I do think. I went for the first time for Tyson's fight, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be, and especially there's such a young population there, and they're really into sport. There's no doubt about that, and they're the biggest users of social media in the world, and for me, this they're opening themselves up, and they're opening up. And they've made a decision. Entertainment and sport is going to be an entertainment and sport capital. They've got a massive festival. It's in its 4th year, the Riyadh season, and big events are going to be on. And boxing will benefit from it. And it's not bad for British boxing.
Yeah, sorry to jump in, Frank. You mentioned your man Daniel Dubois will fight Jarrell Miller. I'm looking at quite a number of messages coming in. Should Jarrell Miller be fighting at all with his previous doping problems in the past?
He has been proved positive. He's been banned for boxing. He's now been licensed by Nevada. That's it. I mean, I don't police the sport. If he's licensed, then he's licensed and he's paid. You go to prison, you do something. When you come out of prison, you're supposed to be in a position where you can carry on with your life. You've paid your debt to society.
Yeah.
For me, that's how it is with the doping. But for me, if it was you get caught for doping and you're banned for life, then I would respect that.
It was a kind of coming together yesterday, Frank, of the great and the good in boxing. I mean, we saw you shake hands with Eddie Hearn. Hearn apparently said it was almost like, look, forget the past. There's always going to be a rivalry. Let's not mess up this opportunity for our fighters, and let's work together. So we're all pals now.
Well, like I said to you, this is going to be a game changer. I told you this a long while ago. Everybody laughed. I told you what was going to happen, and I've really felt deep down this is where we were going. But it's not just him. There were 12 other promoters we got involved in this show. That's what we've pulled together between all of us. It's made it happen. 12 promoters from different parts of the world bringing their fighters to make a huge card. And this would be the first of many of those cards of these type of fights.
Cash cleans it all, Frank, doesn't it, at the end of the day?
Look, they're professional boxers. If you were chairman of Crystal Palace and you was asked to take your team out for a friendly match in Saudi, you'd bite people.
No, you're missing my point. What I'm saying is the reasons why everyone can get in a room and everyone can find a cord is because there's enough money in the room to make it happen.
I don't think everyone. I think the money makes it happen because obviously people start off with fighters, they invest in their careers, and they want to put. Once the fighters get to a certain stage, they want to start recouping some of their money.
Yeah.
All the promoters want to do that, and why not? That's the business we're in, and it gives us money to then go and develop other young fighters and bring them through.
Well, Frank, I tell you what, you're having a hell of a week, because today we've got a press conference to promote Fury versus Usyk, which is going to happen in Saudi in February. Can we expect any other big names to come out of that one?
You will find out later on today when the press conference takes place. But it's all happening. We're making these fights happen. You know, for months and months, I was getting plenty of stick off of you two about when's this fight going to happen. In fact, it's the quickest a unification match has ever been made, and we got that on. So that's brilliant. And we got a great. We're doing a show for Deborah, a charity, tomorrow night.
Well done.
Yeah.
Sold out. Good. And on Saturday, we've got a cracking British show called The Magnificent Seven, where we've got 7 British title fights on it. It'll be on TNT. And they're all really good young fighters coming through. And hopefully, you know, in a year, 2 years' time, some of these will be fighting for world titles. And I did one of these shows quite a few years ago, and nearly all the fellas on there, bar one, fought and won world titles.
Yeah. I'm not going to push you for the name, but is there another big name in the frame to be announced around Fury Usyk?
Not at this moment.
All right.
You'll find out in that there will be a number of shows coming up, you know, both here and abroad, which are going to feature some British fighters, great opportunities. And the one thing I was trying to get mentioned earlier was that why this is good for British boxing is we haven't got to sit up to 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
If any of the fights are on in Saudi, you get the prime time.
True. Frank, one final point. If either Joshua or Wilder lose on the 23rd, we can forget Joshua Wilder coming up.
Well, I mean, it depends how they lose. If one of them gets, knocked out or something, I think most of the enthusiasm for that would go away, wouldn't it? I don't think people would be that interested. We'll see what happens, but they got tough fights, and anything can happen. Especially, they're not young guys.
No, true.
Anything can happen in heavyweight boxing.
Neither are Simon, myself, but you're still looking very young.
I didn't want to say anything about that.
Frank, thank you for joining.
I'm still 71 years young, so I'm still crashing away on it.
You're looking okay, my friend. Frank Warren with us live this morning, talking about December the 23rd. So Joshua fights Wallen, Deontay Wilder fights Parker, Dubois, Jarrell the Mouth Miller, judging by yesterday, and we're going to see Dimitri Bivol in action as well. I mean, does it get you going? Is it an historic night for boxing? Will you watch it without fail, no matter how much it costs to watch it?